Good morning, everybody. It's 29 minutes to 10 on Tuesday, the 1st of June. I'm Barry Tier. Welcome to the first day of winter and the first day of our winter series. Well, today we're going to be reviewing this book right here, and it's called The Secret Island by Enid Blyton. Now, just before I read a chapter to you or half a chapter, this book is about 3 children or 4 children that run away to a secret island because they have had an uncle and aunt treat them very badly. And they seem to be feel talking together. And their parents disappear in a plane crash off the Pacific Ocean near Australia. Now, Mike's dad, built a fine aeroplane to fly to Australia. Now, they got nearly there, but the problem was their plane came down and smashed. And towards the end of the story, the end of the book, Jack wanders off in a boat and finds out that they're at a hotel called the Swan Hotel. And Captain and Mrs. Arnold, the children's parents, cry with joy that they have got their children again. Now, joining me in the studio, here's Alec now. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Thanks, Barry. Morning to you too. Yeah, and happy winter, start of the winter series, and looking forward to the book review.
Now, we're going to read part of chapter 1 to you now, and here it is. Mike, Peggy, and Nora were sitting in the fields talking together. They were very unhappy. Nora was crying and would not stop. As they sat there, they heard a low call. Coo-ee. There's Jack, said Mike. Dry your eyes, Nora. Jack will cheer you up. A boy came running by the hedge and sat down by them. He had a face as brown as a berry and bright blue eyes that shone with mischief. Hello, he said. What's up, Nora? Crying again. Yes, said Nora, wiping her eyes. Aunt Harriet yelled at me 6 times this morning because I didn't wash the curtains well enough. Look, she showed him her hands, which were red and sore from the washing. It's a shame, said Jack. If only our mother and father were here, they wouldn't let us live like this, said Mike. But somehow, I don't believe they'll ever come back now. How long is it since they've been gone? Asked Jack. It's over 2 years now, said Mike. Dad built a fine new aeroplane, you know, and set off to fly to Australia. Mother went with him because she loves flying too. They got nearly there, and then nothing what was heard of them. And I know I'd Harriet and I really think they will never come back again, said Nora, beginning to cry once more, or they would never treat us as they do. Don't cry anymore, Nora, said Peggy. Your eyes will get so red and horrid. I'll do the washing instead of you next time. Jack put his arm around Nora. He liked the best of them. She was the tallest, although she was my twin. She had a little face and a head of black curls. Mike wasn't exactly like her, but bigger. Peggy had a blonde hair and was a year older. So what has happened here, viewers? Okay, let me explain to you that Aunt Harriet and Uncle Henry have traded Mike, Peggy, and Nora badly, and they believe that their parents will never come back now. And it's been over 2 years since they were last heard of. Here's Alec now.
Yeah, that's right. So that's the setup for the story. We don't hear too much more about their parents after this, Mike, Peggy, and Nora. But we see a little bit about where they're living at home with their uncle and aunt who are just basically mistreating them. So treating them really like slave labor, making them do all these chores, and not feeding them enough either. So they're kind of starving and really desperately sad. Nora's kind of the youngest, but she's quite immature and kind of a relatively weak character, which is kind of interesting. She's actually my favorite character in this whole book because she kind of undergoes the greatest transformation, if you know what I mean, through the whole story as she progresses and as she learns more and kind of grows up over the summer. And can I also mention that it's set in the 1930s in England, so pre-World War II. Aviation was kind of only just taking off. You know, there were some planes in previous years, but you know, it was kind of when aviation was taking off. And it's set right in the middle of summer when it's a really warm period of the year, so that it is possible for children to run away and live out in the wild. So yeah, that's the setup. That's the setup for the whole story.
Now, let me also explain that they meet this friend called Jack, and he's trying to cheer them up. Now, another fact of the beginning of that story is Jack is planning to take them away to a secret island. Okay, so what happens, he gets a boat and he takes them to the secret island, but their main aunt tells them that they can't go. So Mike asked his aunt at supper time, could they go for a walk? And unfortunately, Aunt Harriet said no, they can't. They'll just go to bed, all of them. And she wants them up early the next day because she wants a lot of work done. But the trouble is, viewers out there and children who love to breed children's books like I did when I was younger, they get into trouble because they're not focused on the task at hand, and they get into trouble for it. And then Nora cried bitterly because she had made to scrub the kitchen floor all over again. Here's Alex.
Yeah, that's right. So the first time that they go and visit the island, which is, as you said, it's Jack's idea. So he's discovered this amazing place in the middle of a lake, which has all of these sort of natural resources on it, and it's a really cool place to go and play. He tells them about it, and they think about escaping there, but the first time they go to just kind of check it out. And they have a great time, but get into trouble. And then they're stuck for another week, doing all the chores and being treated terribly by their uncle and aunt, and they can't get away until, I think it's the following Sunday, right? When they have a free day, and that's when they plan to take a whole bunch of stuff and escape to the island.
So we're going to read a bit more about the escape now. So I'll just pause there.
So chapter 3 is called The Escape. All that week the children carried out their plans. Aunt Harriet and Uncle Henry could not understand what was different. So you want to read from there for a couple of pages?
Yeah, so...
Oh, is your copy better to read, by the way? I wondered where your copy was. Do you have your copy with you? Yeah, your copy was. Do you...
Explain briefly for you before I read this about what happens. So, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, and children out there with their mums and dads, Mike, Peggy, Nora, and Jack, well, they're thinking about this sacred island. But what the story is, their aunt and uncle have a change of heart. And even Nora takes a slapping without a tear. So, let me read to you what has happened here. Here we go. All that week, the three children carried out their plans. Aunt Harriet and Uncle Henry could not understand what was different about the children. They did not seem to mind being scolded at all. Even Nora didn't burst into tears when she was shouted at. She was so happy when she thought of the secret island that she could not shed a tear. The children took all of their clothes, they processed down to the hollow tree by the lakeside. Mike took 4 emerald cups, some emerald plates, and 2 emerald dishes. Nora snuggled down an old kettle that Aunt Harriet had put away in the cupboard. She did not dare to take one of those on the stove. Peggy took a frying pan and a saucepan to the hollow tree and had to put up with a dreadful scolding when her aunt could not find them. So what's happened here is Peggy had to put up with a dreadful scolding. Here's Alec now.
Yeah, that's right. So they're all 3 children basically over these few days, they're collecting all of these things that they might want to use on the island. So they're planning to run away, basically, and they're taking pots and pans, and an old kettle, some dishes and plates, and all sorts of things that they think that they might want to live on this island, kind of indefinitely. Like they certainly haven't planned how long they're going to spend there. And that's kind of a lot of the appeal about this story, is you wonder, you know, how long are they going to stay on this island? You know, they build a house, and they take a cow to the island, and, you know, they do all this stuff, and they build structures and veggie gardens and all of these amazing things. And you think, well, how long can this last? And I actually got hooked a few chapters in, because I was just thinking, you know, is this going to go? is this how they're going to live out their lives? You know, on this secret island. It's kind of amazing. And so, yeah, this chapter is all about them initially collecting all the things that they think they might want.
So before they go to the secret island, they go and check it out. But on the Sunday, when everything is planned and everything is in the hollow tree, their aunt says, I suppose you think that you are going off for a picnic today. Well, again, she prevents them, Mike, Peggy, and Nora from going. And the hearts of the three children sink. So we're going to read about how they get away from their mean aunt and uncle.
Okay, so for now.
You girls slip off down to the lake as soon as you get a chance. He said, wait there for me, I won't be long. Peggy and Nora felt happier. They were to escape after all. They washed up a few more things and they saw their aunt going upstairs. So what's happened there is their aunt goes upstairs to look for her Sunday clothes. But then when she comes back down, she discovers that Peggy and Nora have gone missing and have not finished their work. Here's Alec now.
Yeah, absolutely. So they very quickly take their chance to escape. So this is Nora and Peggy. They grab a few last things, like a bar of soap, which is pretty clever.
And a slab of butter to help them in their frying.
Yep, that's right. So they grab soap and butter, a couple of last minute things, and race out. Mike is still there though, and he's going to try and cover their tracks. And he makes up some kind of story for where they are, and then says, shall I go and find them? So he's giving himself his own sort of reason for not being there as well. So that's how he's going to escape.
So what happens is the furious aunt demands where they are. So Mike gives an answer, and then the aunt told them they will get into trouble for not finishing their work. Here's Alec.
Yeah, and little does she know that they're not going to get into trouble and that she's never going to see them again. So, and they're kind of already acting in that way. They know that they're going to escape. And so they're just excited about leaving and escaping. And we don't actually see much of them in the book again. So the children go back occasionally to collect some things, but don't really see their aunt and uncle ever again in the whole story.
So let's go to the end of the book to find out what happens to the children's parents. We must get back to Jack and find out what has been happening to him. He had been such a long time away from the island, for longer than he would have been if he had just gone shopping. Well, what could have kept him? Well, he had got safely in the boat at the far end of the lake and had tied the boat up to a tree to the far end of the lake, and had tied the boat up to a tree. Then he had slipped through the wood and had taken the road that led to the district 5 miles away. It would take him nearly an hour and a half to get there. But what fun it would be to do a bit of shopping again. The boy paddled along the wintry road. It was muddy and cold, but he was warm as toast. He dangled his money in his pocket and wondered if he could buy what he wanted to. He badly wanted to get a doll for Nora, but he knew how much he would love it. So what's happened here? Jack has left the island to go shopping for Christmas for Mike and Nora and Peggy. So he steps up in a leaky boat to go shopping. But whilst he was in the middle of the shopping expedition, he asked the shop assistant where the children's parents are. He and Alec.
Yeah, that's right. And if you want to know how Jack gets his money, you would have to read earlier in the book about all the things that the children do to earn their money. But then Jack goes off to this distant village to try and buy them stuff for Christmas, and it's winter now, so cold and wet and rainy, and he overhears a couple of people talking about what a pity it was that they never found those children, and that their mother and father were quite ill with grief, right? Which is a big surprise because, the children think their parents are like dead or on the other side of the planet somewhere. And so it's a huge surprise to find out that not only are they alive, but they're nearby. And so Jack then quickly asks the people who were talking and the assistant, where are these parents? And they say,
they are at the Swan Hotel. So we're going to cut to another shot and we'll read. Welcome back. In this part of the story, Jack had a great surprise. He is trying to find their parents, and by sheer luck, it looks as though they are staying at a hotel called the Swan Hotel. Let me read to you what happens next. "What do you know about all of this?" suddenly said one of the women. "You're not one of the children, are you?" "Never mind about that," said Jack impatiently. "Just tell me one thing. Where are the father and mother?" "They are not far away," said the shop assistant. "They are staying at the hotel in the next town, hoping that the children will be heard of." "What hotel?" said Jack eagerly. "The Swan Hotel," said the shop assistant. And then the woman stared in amazement as Jack tore out of the shop at top speed, his eyes shining and a look of the greatest excitement on his brown face. He ran to the bus stop. He knew that buses went to the town, and he had only one thought in his mind: to get to the Swan Hotel and tell Mike's father and mother that their children were safe. Never in his life had Jack been so excited to think that things would come right like this. And he, Jack, was the one to tell the father and mother. He jumped into the bus and could not keep still. He kept out of it when it rumbled into the town and ran off to the Swan Hotel. He rushed into the hall and caught hold of the hall porter there. "Where are Captain and Mrs. Arnold?" he cried. Mike had often told him that their father was a captain, and he knew the children's surname was Arnold, so he knew quite well whom to ask for. So what's happened here? So let me explain to you what has happened. So Jack has got off the bus at the Swan Hotel. He grabs hold of one of the hall porters in the hotel and asked where Captain and Mrs. Arnold are. So here's Alec now to take up the rest of the story from there.
Yeah, that's right. So, like all good fairy tales and children's books, it has a happy ending. So Jack, by amazing circumstance, discovers the other children's parents, that they're alive and well, they're living at the Swan Hotel. He very quickly tells them that the kids are still alive and takes them off to find them on the secret island. And Captain and Mrs. Arnold actually spend the night on the island with their children, and everybody is extremely happy. And they eat a whole bunch of their food, so they basically have one last giant feast of everything yummy that they've had on the island. And in fact, there's a lot of cooking and food talked about while they're staying on the island. And then, do you want to talk, Barry, about what happens with Jack?
Okay. So it's the last night on the secret island, okay? And Jack brings Nora, Peggy, and Mike a Christmas present. And they're thinking that Jack's been caught. Well, for world viewers, that is not the case. Their parents come to spend the night at the secret island with them, and they tell the tale of why they came to the secret island and how badly their aunt and uncle treated them, and they were very angry. Here's Alec now to tell you this.
Yeah, that's right. So they actually say only one thing, so this is what the narrator's saying, only one thing made Captain and Mrs. Arnold angry, and that was the tale of how unkind Aunt Harriet and Uncle Henry had been. They shall be punished, said Captain Arnold, and that was all he said about them. So, and then you don't hear anything more about it, but you just know that their dad is going to absolutely get stuck into them for how badly they treated their children. And then, after they've spent a night on the island, they decide that Jack should come and live with them. So he becomes like another sibling of the three children. And they go off to London and spend Christmas together.
So, in the morning, they all wake up on the secret island together, and they have breakfast. Now, Nora keeps touching her mother because she had missed them so much. And then they get the breakfast like the rest of the potted meat, the peaches, trout, and the tin milk. And then after breakfast, Captain Arnold says, well, it's about time we were going. And here's Alec to tell you about it.
Yeah, and they say, the children look up and they said, going? What do you mean, Daddy? Leave our island? And that's when Captain Arnold and Mrs. Arnold basically say, you can't live on an island for the rest of your lives. You've got to go off to school, you know, and we're all going to be together, but we can't live on the island forever. And the first thing that Nora worries about is Jack. And do you want to read out what Mrs. Arnold says about Jack?
Okay. Jack is ours too, said Mrs. Arnold. I am sure that the grandfather will be glad to have him for always. He shall have me for his mother, and the father shall be his too. We will all be one big family. So, before they set off back home to their own home, Peggy says to give us time to say goodbye to everything. And then they show them the mother the willow house that they have made and things like that. And then Captain Arnold says, how about setting off in the boat? And that was after they were showing, the children's parents were showing everything. But it's too cold for Daisy to swim behind in the boat. And so Captain Arnold decides to send a fisherman over to collect her. And then Daddy decides to buy the island for them, so that they could go there and run wild and lives and let them live by themselves if they wanted to. And they make a lot of money out of their flying. So once they get home, they go shopping for new clothes and things like that. Here's Alex.
That's right, Barry. So, yeah, I actually was worried about Daisy the cow as well. Like, were they just about to leave? But it was a relief to hear that Captain Arnold was organising a fisherman to come and rescue Daisy from the island. And somehow they do make a lot of money out of flying. I presume maybe they've set up an airline or something. I'm not sure. But then they go back to London and they get new clothes and they sleep in soft beds. But they're also relieved to hear that the captain is going to buy the island so they can go and visit it whenever they like and stay on it over the summer in future years.
So let me read you the very last paragraph of the last chapter.
All right, starts right there.
Good night, Secret Island, said the others. And then they slept and dreamt of their island of the summer. When they could go there once more and live merrily and happy all alone in the hot sunshine of winter days. The cozy cave of cooking over a campfire and sleeping soundly on heavenly beds. Dear Secret Island, only wait and you shall have the children with you once again. And that, my viewers, is the book review of The Secret Island. Here's Alec now to hold the book up for you. And there it is. I hope you've enjoyed it. Here's Alec now.
Well, I certainly enjoyed it. Thanks, Barry. It was a great suggestion. It was a fun read. It was a children's book, of course, but a fun book. And it's nice to read sort of children's books from time to time. And it's a great story, a great fairy tale, and lots of fun. So thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for letting me participate in the book review with you.
And it's not over yet because I've got another book to review for you now. This is episode 209 now at 13 minutes past 10 here. And today I've got the Woman's Weekly Gluten-Free Cookbook. And it has lots of yummy things in that. And joining me now in the studio, good morning, Georgia.
Morning, Baz. Good to be here.
And today I'm going to be sharing a recipe with you, and it's a breakfast idea this time to start with. And how about a cereal? So I'm just pause that. Now, do you remember when we did breakfast ideas on the episode with Marcel? Yep. Well, this one is honey baked muesli. Here's Alec now to read out the recipe for you.
Righto. Okay. So yeah, thanks, Barry. As Barry said, we're reading from the Women's Weekly Gluten-Free Food for the Family Cookbook. And this is one of the breakfast recipes. It's gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, honey-baked muesli. The prep and cook time is 1 hour plus cooling, and it serves 4. So, firstly, you preheat the oven to 180 degrees, grease and line a large baking tray. Combine 1 cup of rice flakes, 1.5 cups of gluten-free cornflakes, and 1.5 cups of puffed rice in the tray. Combine 1/3 cup of honey, 2 tablespoons of water, and 1 cinnamon stick. Oh, that sounds good. In a small saucepan. Bring to the boil, reduce heat, simmer for 5 minutes or until thickened slightly. Discard the cinnamon stick. Pour honey mixture over cereal in baking tray. Toss to coat. Bake uncovered for 40 minutes or until browned lightly, stirring twice during the cooking time. Cool, and then stir in 1.5 cups of nut-free trail mix. And then to serve, divide muesli into bowls, evenly top with 1 cup of coconut milk yogurt and 1/3 cup of passion fruit pulp.
So, if I can just get Alex to show you that recipe there. Okay, there it is,
Sorry, mate.
guys.
Here it is.
And you can serve muesli with normal milk if you don't have a dairy allergy. Here's Alex.
That's right. So this recipe looks pretty delicious to me. If you would just have it normally with just plain milk or light white or skim milk or whatever, I think you could have it with anything. I hadn't actually ever heard of coconut milk yogurt before. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, I'm actually dairy free, so I have coconut yogurt all the time.
Oh, there you go. So definitely a winner with coconut milk yogurt. And actually, I like the idea of the passion fruit pulp as well on top. I reckon that'd be a really nice addition. Yeah.
So, as we said in the breakfast ideas, okay, this is a great recipe. Okay, you can even start this recipe the night before, so you can start it up, okay, bake the first couple of ingredients, and then in the morning add the rest of them and serve it up, and you've got yourself some honey baked muesli. And what a nutritious breakfast. Here's Alec now.
Yeah, and nutritious, but also sounds absolutely delicious. I think the baking it part of it probably is really good. And interesting that it's got a cinnamon stick in there, obviously just to flavour it, because you then pull the cinnamon stick out. But something you could do the night before, because you eat it cool the next day.
Well, we're also going to be closing the show with another recipe, but before we do, it is very important to have a nutritious breakfast to start the day, because if you've got uni work the next day, you need to be alert. Here's Alec now.
Yeah, that's right. Good to start off the day with a big breakfast, particularly if you have work to do, uni work, study, school, whatever it is. Good to have some energy in your tummy at the start of the day. And as you said, sorry, I just read on, Barry, as you said, you can cook this and then store it. So this recipe also says you can store the muesli in an airtight container for up to 3 months. Not sure about 3 months. That seems like a long time, but you can certainly cook it and keep it for a while, and then eat it over some time.
And the last recipe we're going to end today's show with is granola with plums. So I'm going to let Georgia read this one out.
Thank you. Alright. So, granola with plums. Preheat your oven to 150 degrees. Line a large oven tray with baking paper. Combine 1 cup of each gluten-free cornflakes, rice bran cereal and puffed rice, and a 1/3 cup of pepitas and sunflower seed mix in a large bowl. Drizzle with a 1/4 cup of honey and 1 tablespoon of veggie oil. Sprinkle with 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Toss gently to combine. Spread evenly on an oven tray. Bake, turning occasionally for 20 minutes or until lightly golden. Stir through 1/2 cup of thickly sliced dried figs and a 1/3 cup of sultanas. Cool the granola. Divide granola into serving bowls and drizzle evenly with 700 grams of vanilla soy yogurt and top each bowl with 2 plums in a natural syrup. So I think you can also do this one the night before, because you have to wait for the granola to cool, and then also put some yogurt on top, which is cool in the fridge as well.
So, I'd like to explain to you what granola is. It's like muesli, but you bake it, okay, but you've got to spread the mixture out on a tray, okay, and then once you bake your granola, guys, you've got to let it go hard when cold, and then break it into small chunky pieces, okay, and then you can serve your granola with some yogurt or milk, okay, and a bit of honey and some plums, okay. So two great breakfast ideas I have brought to you today, and 2 book reviews today, and now here is the closing segment. Thank you everybody for joining us today on the book reviews, the Gluten-Free Cookbook, and the Secret Island. Perhaps you would like to read your child a chapter from the Secret Island, and maybe you would like to obtain a copy of the book for your child and read them a story at bedtime. So we'd like to thank you viewers for tuning in this morning on episode 209, and before we do go, I'm dressing appropriately for winter as it is started now, okay. Wear a beanie, okay, which I've got, a jacket, some comfortable pants, long socks, high boots, things like that. Here's Alec now for his closing sequence.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks for having me on the show again. The book reviews were a lot of fun. And yeah, absolutely. Now we're in winter. It's a whole new wardrobe. I have to wear warm things, beanies, warm tops, warm socks, everything, because let's all get warm for winter.
So before we say good morning to you, like we said on the last episode, don't come to work if you're sick. Ring up the night before or the day before. And if you haven't got your flu jab yet, please go and get it. Here's Alec now for this.
Yeah, that's right. So good time to get the flu jab as we're heading into winter. And everyone should get it. Everyone that can get it should get the flu jab as soon as they can.
So we'd like to thank you viewers out there for watching episode 209 today. We've certainly had a lot of fun bringing it to you, and if you would like to go to Bob and Head, guys. For those of you that haven't been there, it is magnificent. Here's Alec now to tell you about it before we say good farewell to you this week.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. Yeah, we went down there to Bobbin Head last week and had a great time. A really beautiful place. Very, very peaceful and quiet. The water is amazing. All the wildlife around. It's an awesome place to go. Looking forward to going back there again in a few weeks' time.
And we'd like to thank you for joining us on the first of our winter series. And for those in Melbourne, okay, please be patient, be vigilant, and you'll be able to go out and about very soon. But do stay tuned for further updates of when your lockdown will end. We know it's frustrating, but please have some backup plans for the lockdown. And here's Alec now to take us out with that message.
Yeah, that's right. So hopefully we'll come out of this lockdown in Melbourne soon. And as everybody starts to get vaccinated, we will need them less and less. So hopefully this pandemic will end soon.
And be patient, everybody down in Victoria, our Victorian viewers down there. Please be patient. Don't be angry. We know it's inconvenient. And one thing, no panic. Panic buying, don't go like buy dozens and dozens of rolls of toilet paper. That is not the way to go. And like I always say at the end of each show, only dial 000 in an emergency. Here's Georgia now to close the show with that.
Yes, always dial 000 if you are in an emergency, but if you have a situation where you need to get to the doctors, but it isn't an emergency, or you can get someone else to drive you to the hospital, always use that route so that the people who do need urgent help or can't get there themselves have the resources available for them.
And until the next show then, next Tuesday morning, thanks for your company today on the book review, and we'll be back with you next Tuesday morning at just after 9 o'clock, and we may even bring up another yummy food idea again, another book review. Who knows what next Tuesday's show will bring. So from episode 209 now, have a great day. In Sydney's weather, look at that sunshine. Go out and get some vitamin D. Alec, thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Thanks for having me.
And Georgia, the same. And we hope that you have a great day and a happy rest of week. Episode 210 coming up tomorrow. So I'm Barry Steele on behalf of Alec and myself and Georgia. It's farewell, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for watching the book review and food review and episode 209. Have a great